Louis Pearce, aka Lab 5, better known as Slam. Welcome to the show, mate. How's it going?
Yeah, good, mate. No problem, man. It's my pleasure. Good to be here, man.
Yeah, man, it's really great to have you. Bit of background. I've known this guy since the Bondi Beach radio days back in Sydney. He runs a record label. He's an excellent producer. So, mate, for the guys at home, for everybody listening, can you just quickly give us the helicopter view of how you got your start in music?
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so coming from a background where my family were pretty musical, I'd watch my brothers kind of jam when I was about 4, 5 years old. This was like the late 90s, so they were like, covering like Silverchair and like Spider Bait and that kind of like a late 90s Aussie kind of stuff, that was big at the time. So like I was kind of around that music and I got into playing the drums. But I was into that sort of stuff, like pretty fast music. And then I got into punk and kind of metal and stuff. But I remember at one point being over at my friend's house and his older brother was out. And, we would have been like early high school. I might have still even been in year six. And as you do when you're homies, older brothers out, you go through their room and suss out all the stuff in there. And we found this CD. It was Pendulum Jungle Gold, I think it was.
I know that CD, yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, man, just put it in the CD drive and that first track, it's just the most ridiculous tear out. Like if I listen to it now, I crack up because it's like nothing that I'd listen to. But just to answer that question, I think that's probably the first bit of electronic music I heard that I heard that made me curious enough to kind of want to research and understand, hey, what is this? I need to identify this so I can then go and find more of it and, get into it.
Yeah.
I reckon that's probably what it was. Yeah.
And where'd you go from there? From Pendulum?
So at that time as well, like I said, that would have been about 2006, 2007. So I suppose the same time, that was like when dubstep was really starting to do its thing over in the UK.
Yeah.
As we got into high school, it just was around. We got into stations like Sub FM and Rinse FM and stuff like that, all those kind of stations. And I suppose listening to that, it kind of gave us an insight on how to mix, how to DJ, just by listening what they were doing. And yeah, eventually, I bought some decks. I already had I think Ableton because I was hanging out with some people who were kind of already onto it, you know what I mean? And they could hook us up and kind of show me how to use it and stuff. So yeah, without getting into it too deep, I think that's probably how it is. Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic, mate. Okay, and so how soon after starting to listen to electronic music did you start trying to make your own? Because that's something that I put off for over a decade.
Yeah, sure. Well, because like I said, I got straight into music when I was quite young, and I just kind of, I don't know, like viewing my brothers and my family, and I got involved in. My dad is like a conductor and a brass, like he plays the cornet, which is like a smaller version of the trumpet.
No shit.
Yeah, for sure. So I got like involved in like brass bands when I was young as well, and would just kind of like go around to compete in these national competitions in each state around each year. And I don't know, I suppose we were just playing music. So I just had this idea in my head that anything's possible. It's just music, just pick it up, go and get it. Like, you know what I mean? It's just,
Yeah.
It was always, especially like when once we were in high school, like I said, we were listening to Sub FM, Rinse FM and stuff like that. And my friends and I, we started our own radio station. We started an online radio station when we were like in year 9.
What?
And we would just go onto forums and find, like dubstep forums in all over the world, like in Europe and stuff like that, and put up these ads in the forum saying, hey, we're starting a radio station and we need some DJs who wants to be, and we're just kids running a little radio station, but we had like someone in Austria and in the UK and in the US. And, we made friends with some crew down in Melbourne. And yeah, so it was just, I don't know, it's kind of funny. If you have that mindset of just kind of like, what, like this is what it is. I'm doing this because I want to. then before you know it, shit just starts happening. It just really does, you know. It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a generational thing, but it seems like you adapted to the internet so fucking quickly. You're like, okay, this is what I want to do, so I'm just going to start an internet radio station. Like, I don't know. That's fucking forward-thinking shit, dude. Ambitious shit, you know, to just overcome that mental obstacle and just fucking go get it no matter what.
Well, I think also when you're younger, you don't really think about it as much either. You know what I mean? Like as I've gotten older, I've kind of become a bit more hesitant of those sorts of things. And, you know, I don't think it was until like I got to the end of my high school years where I was maybe getting a bit more kind of self-aware and, you know, maybe a bit of self-doubt and stuff like that beforehand. You know, it's kind of like, what's that saying? I don't know if it applies here because it's not ignorance, it's more arrogance. I just was like, fuck it, I can do this. I'm just going to do it regardless or whatever. And even if I wasn't very good at it, it was just, that's what I was doing, you know? So
yeah. But I mean, it's an ethos that you're sort of still putting into practice because you now run your own record label, right? Tell us about that.
Yeah. Along with Emily, Bisoux, and Akul. And some other shady characters in the background. It's great. It's awesome. I love doing that. I started it originally with my friend Alex, Revive Pleasure, and Christian, who's gone through many names. I think the last release he did for us, or the last bit of music he released under our thing, he went under People's Republic. But anyway, we started that in like 2016, and that was the same thing. We were kind of just like, let's just release some music. I mean, the concept was a bit different at that point. We wanted to really try and replicate like that crossover of like UK garage when it started to kind of get a little bit more grimy, and then starting to, I suppose, birth dubstep and stuff like that. We were really into that period of time. You know, so we all just had like aliases, and we just put out one release, and, you know, just it was whatever. I didn't really do, like, I think some people in Sydney were kind of like, oh yeah, cool. But it was funny because what made us revive the label again 6 years after was that I just started noticing that like people were buying that release we did. I think when UKG kind of had a revival, so to speak, like over these past 2-3 years, some people had found it on SoundCloud and like however else, you know. And I thought about it, and I was like, hey, I actually know heaps more producers in Sydney now. Like it'd be cool to you know, maybe try and do it again and get a compilation together. Just it kicked off like that. And Emily and Luca were like, oh, hey, this is sick. Like if you ever need a hand, or if you know, they were just super keen. And I was like, yeah, I need a lot of help because, you know, like I'm not the most organized person and whatever else. So and then eventually I just said, why don't we just all do this together? You know, like,
nice. So what's coming up on the label? So you've got I know there was a release that came out this week, one of the free ones, right?
Yeah, that's right. So that was a freebie because if it wasn't, it would have been included in an EP, and it would have been like a 5-track EP. But instead we thought, hey, let's just put something out for free or pay what you want. And then we're actually waiting to get the masters back for that EP. And that's for Isguan as well, who's a producer from originally, I think, like Springwood, the mountains.
Okay.
But he's now in Melbourne now. And it's sick. He's like, you know, I haven't really heard any of his music before in terms of like releases. I think this is his first release, and really sick production value. You know, you can tell he's really into what he's doing, and it's sick. Really privileged to have him.
Yeah, and I think it's a really interesting era of garage to be focusing on, because when you dig into that kind of murky grey area of the kind of dark garage into dubstep, there's some bits there, but the tracks that really crystallize it, I find are few and far between. There's a couple, but it's an area that right in that bridge, it's ripe for expansion.
Yeah, totally. Hey, and look, I think that's still kind of our idea, but at the same time, like, things have changed a lot. So that concept's kind of like not the main focus now. I suppose we're just trying to like put out as much music that we dig, you know, from people in Australia, I think. Yeah.
So Have you always produced in Ableton?
No, I kind of used to play around with Fruity Loops. Like I remember playing around on Fruity Loops when I was a kid, you know. I remember like my mum and dad going out, and like this is a good thing again. Like I'm so glad that my dad got me involved into that brass band stuff. Like at the time I was like, what? This is so like nerdy and shitty and you know, but honestly, like looking back at it, fucking hell, so lucky to have had that experience. And I'm so thankful. I told my dad the other day, I was like, thanks, man. um, but yeah, like, yeah, the only reason I said that is because I remember one time, you know, I was over a friend's house who was in the band and our mum and dad were friends and they were out for dinner. He was older, he was in high school and I was, you know, in primary school and he had just downloaded Fruity Loops. And this is like on a desktop in like, you know, must have been 2003, 2004, you know, like back in the day. And then I kind of was like, cool. And then I saw someone else use it a bit. I was in this band for a while and we didn't have a drummer. So like the homie just figured out how to just, you know, program drums in Fruity Loops and just hit the space bar and it would play the sequence and he'd play the guitar over the top and I'd sing and stuff. And yeah, so I kind of had used DAWs a little bit, but Ableton, once I got onto it, it was just kind of like, oh, sick, cool. And it just kind of clicked and, you know, other people were using it. So I was always able to get tips. And, you know, if I was stuck on anything, there's, you know, a lot of resources and homies around to help me.
Yeah. What were some of those early challenges that you faced in terms of making your own beats?
Oh, well, the first thing straight away is you just want your tunes to sound sick. And it's, you know,
that's exactly what I'm struggling with. It just sounds like out the box garbage.
Yeah, 100%, because I think there's so much that goes into it, you know. I wouldn't consider myself at a point where I'm, you know, like super happy with my productions or my edits or whatever, like, but I guess that's a thing of just, you know, there's always room for improvement or you can always do better or whatever, you know. And I think for a while I would just actually get discouraged because I wasn't feeling my tunes and just be like, well, you know, it's never gonna come together, it's always going to be shit or whatever. But really, no, you just have to do it. You have to do it, and the more you do anything, the better you get at it. It's just that simple. It's just practice and just repetition and learning and just, you know, and that's life. We just learn from our mistakes, you know. You can't, if you know, in my opinion, like if you just wait and wait and wait and wait until you have this, you know, like I'm absolutely certain this song is perfect or whatever, well, I guarantee the next year or maybe a few months later, you're going to find things you're not happy with, and it's always going to be the case, you know. But yeah, definitely back to the original question, I think big struggles was just, yeah, like why doesn't mine sound like this? Just little tricks as well. I mean, like DAWs and Ableton and stuff like that, there's like 1,000 ways you can do the same thing, you know? And I suppose it's just about finding a workflow that works for you, finding techniques that, work for you and kind of work organically. So it's just kind of like you're vibing off your own thing, you know? I think if things are getting too tough and like you're trying to replicate something or you've seen someone do something and it's not working, like, you know, just because they're a sick producer and they do that, you know, I'm not discrediting it by any means, but it might not be your thing. It might not be your style of working, and that's totally fine. Like I've done that heaps. I used to watch a lot of tutorials or see certain producers that I admired, and I would try and do some of their techniques, and some of them it just clicks, and you're like, sick, I love that. And then other ones are kind of like, oh yeah, it's cool that you do that, and I'm glad you do, and I think you get good results with it. But I just don't think it's not for me or whatever, you know. So yeah.
Yeah, I just had a chat with Andrew Woke, just wrapped it up, and he's fucked with VSTs his whole production career, but he's now decided that he much prefers sample-based production. So all he does is use samples and then drag stuff in, then manipulates the fuck out of them. He doesn't really fuck with sort of the latest, hottest VST, Serum, any of these. It's all about finding what works for you.
Totally, 100%. And there's no... like I said, there's many ways to skin a cat or whatever the expression is. It's like, you know, there's there's so many ways to do it, and I think it's easy to be caught up in what's right or wrong or whatever. But at the end of the day, there's no wrong, you know.
Yeah.
Even if your music sounds fucking really bad, someone's gonna fuck with it. I guarantee. Trust me, like, you know, there's no wrong, you know. So yeah.
That's interesting you say that. No matter how bad your shit is, someone's going to fuck with it. That's not bad. That's not bad.
I swear to God.
Yeah.
I swear, because like I said, I had that mentality for a long time where I was just like, this is garbage. This music sucks. Like, I don't want to show this to anyone, blah, blah, blah. And then eventually at times I had like literally agreed to releasing tunes. I've like said to a label that have approached me and said, hey, we love your music. Can you do something? And then I'll be like, yes, because I want the opportunity. And, you know, I rarely turn down working with people on things, and gets to a point where I'm never happy. And it gets to a point where it's too late. Like, I need to submit this. I've already missed this deadline. And it's like, you know, and I submit it and I'm like, oh my God, I'm so embarrassed. This is so fucking bad. Like, this is shit. And then sometimes it does really well. And I'm just like, I don't understand. I really don't get it. And I've spoken to like Luca about this as well. And like Luca's productions are crazy. Like, his mix downs are so clean and just like, he kills it, you know. And he said the same thing to me, you know, and it was really, I'm glad he did. It was really quite helpful, because he just said to me, like, he said the same thing. He's like, I've written so many tunes and I'm just like, what the fuck? And sometimes they work and people really like them, and it's, you know, so it's just one of those things, you know.
That's fucking crazy, dude. That
life of a, you know, artist or a producer or whatever, you know.
You're always your own worst enemy or your own worst critic, you know.
Sure.
What's your workflow these days? How much time are you getting to make beats? And like, yeah, how much time are you getting to make beats these days?
Yeah, not a lot. I was kind of getting into it a bit earlier this year, and also just even a few months ago, but same thing. I just like I said, with like production and like your techniques and what you're doing and stuff, I just got to, it's got to be organic. I got to have that drive, and it's got to be genuine. It's got to be, I really want to write tunes, you know, or something's inspired me. I've heard a song and I've been like, fuck, that's sick. And then it's given me an idea, and, you know, and, just lately, you know, I've just been focusing on other things, I suppose. Not even, like, I'm still listening to plenty of music, and, you know, I'm definitely going to be producing music without a doubt. But I find sometimes when I have these breaks, pardon me, it just works. It just starts to work when I go back to it. It's just like I've got all of this new, I don't know, built up kind of inspiration or whatever it may be, but it's just taking a break sometimes can really work. So I haven't, but I've been planning on it. And actually, to be fair, I have been going over to Lewis's studio a bit and jamming with him, and that's sick because he's just got so many toys, and you know, he writes music in a fairly different way to how I write music, you know. So it's I really like appreciate opportunities of working with people who have a different workflow, and then you can kind of meet in the middle, or, you know, get some tricks from each other, or I don't know, maybe together your separate individual skill sets can come together and something cool can happen, you know. So
yeah, for sure. So what's your creative process when you sit down to make how do you start it? Do you start with the drums, or are you more melody sample based? How does it work for you generally?
Yeah, no, I know. I think it's different each time, but most of the time I will probably start with the drums, to be fair. Yeah, I'll start with the drums, and I'll get like a little beat going, a little groove, and then I used to like try and do bass, but I don't really do bass next. Most people I've found anyway, I mean, not everyone, but I've seen a lot of people say drums and then bass and then figure out everything else from there. But I don't know. And look, to be honest with you, it depends what I'm doing. If I'm making an edit, it's completely different. And I mean, I'm probably most well known for my edits, to be honest. Not that I'm making a lot of them anymore, but it's a completely different process. That's something like, that's more of a sample thing. You're listening to music, or you're hearing things and you're reimagining it in a different light. And you, like, for me, those edits, I can smash them out in like 15 minutes. You know, like easily. To the point, because I've already thought about it in my head. It's there. I've heard that hook, or that part, and I've just been like, yeah, sick. I just need some drums now, and I just need to maybe chop up some of these parts, get rid of this, and then I'll like, duplicate certain channels, EQ them so they're differently, so I can like maybe take the vocals out of that, and you know what I mean? So edits are very different, but if I'm writing an original tune, definitely drums, bass. Oh no, sorry, not bass. So it does depend though, but normally drums, and then I'll do like, harmony, melody, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So how often where are you getting your inspiration from for your edits when you do your edits?
Just listen to tunes. And I'm like, fuck, that's sick. That's so good. There'll just be a part that I'm like, this is amazing, And like, it depends on like what part of the tune it is. Like it can be hard if you're trying to sample something that has a lot of elements in it already, because you're already working with a very full mix. You've got a lot of stuff. So you have to then approach it in a way that's like, well, how can I subtract some of these frequencies? How can I do it in a way that's not going to make it too unnatural or too butchered or whatever? And there's so many tunes that I've found, and I've been like, oh my God, I'm going to make a sick edit of this. And then you go to do it, and it just didn't work. And then other ones, you get it and it just clicks, and I swear to God, every time it clicks like that once I've dragged the sample in and I've programmed some drums, I just know, I'm like, this tune's writing itself. I know it's going to. And I suppose, look, to be fair, it's already like a big part of it's written. You are working with a sample, and you're working with a sample like what you said about Andrew. Like like he would be working with individual samples, I imagine. I don't know, but I'd be keen to check out the show. I've been watching a few of them, but it's different in that sense, because you're still using those elements as like an instrument. Whereas like with these sample-based things, they take up a big chunk of it. It's like,
they're the feature. You're making an edit of a song. What he's talking about is like, rather than being like, how do I make a Reese bass line? He'll just go find a Reese bass line and make it and use that, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Oh, more the merrier. I love samples. And I also love synthesis, I think it's just, Yeah. But at the same time, it's like what I said, there's so many different ways to do the same thing, or,
Yeah, for sure. What are some... So I want to touch on the Sydney scene and what's going on there right now, because it's a fucking interesting time with everything that's going on, and Australia as a whole.
But
totally. Before I get to that, I want to just ask, what are the main synths that you do gravitate towards when you're making beats?
Okay. Well, I got... What did I get the other day? That's so sick. It's like a modular thing, but online, not online, on the computer.
Yeah.
It's made by Native Instruments.
Contact?
Nah, it's not Contact. It's similar to that. Anyway,
Reactor.
It'll come to me. Reactor 2. Yeah, so sick. I love that. That is awesome, because it is. And like, look, you can get really nerdy with it and do your own like modular stuff and just patch things everywhere and whatever, which is good fun. I like that. But at the same time, I think that I figured out how to use that in a way where it's like, okay, I have this sound in my head. I know what I'm going for. I can just put it together. And I've already had like saved things that like, if I've made modules and stuff, I'll just save them so I can load them up, and then I'll just, work with them a little bit. But then also I kind of use a bit of the Roland Cloud stuff, but not so much anymore. It's quite CPU hungry. Okay. Let me just open Ableton in the background just so I can look at it, because I have a really bad memory. I use a lot of native Ableton things. I love like Operator.
That's what Floor 20 said. He said, don't be scared to use the shit that comes with Ableton. It's really powerful.
Honestly, Operator is like, I love Operator. It's so good. It's such a sick synth. And it's just, I don't know, like I think also because it's been there for such a long time, I've learnt it over so many years that it's just kind of, you know what I mean? I like it. I can just open it up and it works well. And
yeah.
So I use that a lot actually. And Reactor, sometimes Massive. Lounge Lizard's good. It's like a Rhodes kind of plug-in.
Yeah.
Emulate those Rhodes sounds and stuff like that. But look, also I use a lot of samples as well. I love using samples, and just I'm big on kind of like like sound design as well. So like sometimes I will just have a session where I'm making sounds. I won't Like the aim isn't to make a tune. It's
Yeah.
just kind of to do some synthesis and play around. And because you can just get lost in that shit, you know? There's so many different things you can do.
Yeah, man. How long have we got you for, bro? I know that you've got to shoot off soon. Are we running short of time?
Nah, it's all good. I think we're sweet, man. Should be sweet. I'm so close to the studio that I think if we wrap up in even 40 minutes, it should be sweet.
Oh, fucking hell. Okay, beautiful. I was thinking we could wrap it up in 15. How close are you to the studio?
Whatever, man. Whatever works.
Yeah, how close are you to the studio?
Oh, down the road. I'm on the corner of King and Sydney Park Road. I've got to go to Abbotsford Road near the Vic. So, like, yeah, just jump in a car and I'm down there in a second.
Juicy. Cool. Righto.
Yeah.
Back in the... Fucking hell.
Sorry, bro.
That's all right. This is why we record it first and I can edit it later.
Nah, you got to keep that in. That was sick. It's going to be a good
Keep
moment.
it in? All right, it's staying in. Fuck it. So I want to touch on the Sydney scene because there's some crazy, obviously, you got yourself and Finespun, you got Extra Spicy and shit like that. Yeah. Who are the people? Who are the producers? What's the stuff going on in Sydney and Australia that's inspiring you right now? Talk to me about that.
Okay. Well, definitely. I think at the same time I said that because we were getting some sales from that thing that we put up in 2016 and just forgot about. And even at the time we were just like, whatever, who cares? Let's just put it up. I saw what Ashley was doing and Ashley inspired me hard. You know, she kills it with what she does. And she's just got like a really good work ethic and just, you know, like pumps it out. And she's also, what I admire about Ashley is that she gives people the opportunity, you know. It doesn't fucking matter who you are. She will fucking, if she likes your music, that's what it's about. And I fuck with that so hard because it's so easy within arts, you know. It doesn't have to just be music, but it's easy to just be a cool kid. It's easy to just kind of get cliquey and kind of, you know, it becomes less about music and more about social capital and like who you're hanging with and where you're partying and whatever. And just, you know, I just don't have time for that sort of shit. You know what I mean? So like when I see people that are actually just about music and they're doing their thing, yeah, it's like, that's pure to me. I just find it just, you know, beautiful. And, you know, she's got on board a whole bunch of producers that were virtually unknown before, you know. Ashley had given them the platform and yeah, that's sick. I think that's really dope. And that's something that I try to do as well. Other labels, there's another label that just started up by Sonia actually. I think it's called B&H.
Yeah, Milito.
Yeah, Milito. That's right. Yeah, exactly. I think they've only done one release so far, but that was sick. And then there's like other, you know, other labels. There's like a label in Perth. Oh, I forget what they're called. Fuck. But it's run by like Burner and stuff. I totally forget. That's probably bad. But also like other stuff in Sydney. I mean, you know, I also listen to like a lot of non-dance music or like quite slow music and stuff like that. I'm into, you know, like reggae and dancehall and you know, like street soul and R&B and just like I just like music that makes me feel good, man. And I try not to really, you know what I mean? And like Mike Who, he runs Planet Trip. I love Planet Trip. That's really sick. And again, Mike is just, he's a dude, you know what I mean? He's like he's probably my favorite DJ in Sydney. You know, he's fucking awesome. And at the same time, he's just a nice dude. If he meets you, he's going to treat you with respect. And like, you know, he's like good enough to be like the ultimate cool kid and just be like fucking, you know, not say hello to you when he sees you and shit, but he's not. He's a homie. He's a good dude, you know. And like I feel like that sort of thing goes a long way, you know, because we're all here for music, and if we all like it, that's all it should be. You know what I mean? We shouldn't have to start discriminating on shit and like who you are, where you grew up, or like, you know, your background or any of that, you know. So yeah, that sort of shit really inspires me for sure.
Yeah, so what you're saying is the kind of stuff that inspires you is the openness and the and inclusivity from people.
Inclusivity, man. Community. Let's have an inclusive community that isn't just like ticking the boxes so it is inclusive, but actually let's fucking just you know, let's share the love and just be homies. Like, you know, life's too short. Like, there's no time for clickiness and all of that shit. Like, it's just, if you're a genuine person and you're down to make music or dance next to me and stuff like that, I love you. That's sweet. Like, that's all I need, you know, that's what keeps me going as a human being. And that's the sort of thing, you know, and yeah. And don't get me wrong, there's plenty of it in Sydney. There's plenty of it in Australia. And I think that's the sort of stuff I'm drawn to. And that's the sort of stuff that really inspires me and makes me want to, you know, do that sort of stuff. So,
yeah, that's awesome, man. Listen, it's an exciting time in Sydney and it's good. There's some, you know, lockdowns easing and gigs are starting to open up again, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They definitely are.
Yeah. You busy?
Yeah, just in terms of it's crazy how it's just like for months nothing happened, and then you know, last time around there was just restrictions were eased gradually, but we have a new premier in New South Wales now, and he just kind of just went straight into it. So interesting.
Is it? I didn't know that. So since Gladys bailed, the new blokes come in and just gone, yeah, open everything.
Pretty much. It was like it was the right time. Like, it was the timing of it was she left, and that's when our cases were dropping heaps, and we had already made this you know, commitment of once we hit 80% or whatever it was, might have even been 70, I can't remember now, but whatever the number was, that, you know, people can start going out to restaurants again, you can go to pubs and whatever. But it seemed like this is while Gladys was still on the end of her career. She was like, it seemed as if it was going to be like last time, like just gradual kind of easing of restrictions, and it was to start. And then once he was in, he was just like, nah, fuck that, we're just going in. And interesting. I don't agree with the guy's politics at all, but like, fuck, I don't know, like, that was kind of cool in the sense, if that's the only thing he's gonna, you know, if that's the only thing I can praise him for, I will praise him for that, I suppose, you know, because
you can get out and start playing again.
Yeah, and I think, you know, COVID's serious. It's like, you know, we do have to be really fucking aware of it and whatever, but there are a lot of people who have done the right thing and have been vaccinated and they've taken precautions and they are cautious people, you know what I mean? Yeah. And I think last time it was just a bit of a fucking joke. Like, it was just, you can't fucking do that to people forever, you know what I mean? It just doesn't make sense. You need to eventually get to some point of like, yeah, we need to try and get the ball rolling again, you know?
Yeah.
And look, I was really fucking, when he had made those decisions, I was like, fuck, what, we're going to go raving again. And like, we're going to be in clubs and shit. And I was like, there's going to be a spike. Everyone's going to get it.
Because this was prior to everybody being vaccinated, hey?
Yeah. Well, no. I'm talking about this time now.
Okay. Oh, right. Okay.
Because it's the same sort of thing. Like, did you experience that in London?
Well,
like when everyone was vaxxed, I noticed I had a lot of friends on Instagram and stuff, and I'd see their stories, and they were double vaxxed, but they'd still get it, and then they would kind of have to isolate for a little while, and then they're back out, and it didn't seem like a massive thing. And I think
correct.
I was worried about that, and I'm sure. Just look, man, there's always time, but so far the numbers have been going down. They've just continuously gone down. So.
Yeah. Well, I know that in London, the case numbers are still fucking high. I'm talking like 30,000 plus new cases every day. But the death rates are very low. So we're talking between 1 and 200 generally, which is still not okay. But compared to where we were, it's night and day. But people are being very, and this is my own view, people are being very blasé. Loads of people not wearing masks. We're not through the fucking woods yet. We're still getting thousands of new cases a day and hundreds of deaths a day. Wear a fucking mask, people. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's not hard. I do. And look, to be honest with you, I think that's what's happening here as well. Myself, I'm guilty of it as well, because it feels like we're almost out of the woods, or we are, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's it. I've got to also remember that fucking at any moment, like, shit could just change again, you know? It's happened. Yep. Last time we thought we were out of it, but anyway,
anyway, end COVID talk. Mate, listen,
I
know you got to shoot
anti-vaxxer viewers.
And fuck off all you anti-vaxxers. Hang on, wait, not you. This camera, fuck off anti-vaxxers. Leave the channel. You're banned. Listen, I know you got to bounce to go do the radio. Tell us about your radio show.
Okay, sick. Yeah, that's just the Finespun show. So that's That's me, Bisoux and Akul. We're doing that. This is our first ever show.
Oh,
So it's going to be
sick.
exciting. Yeah, we're just going to go 40 minutes each.
Yep.
Bring out to a 2 hours. That's on Nomad Radio. So that's like a fairly new radio station. I think it's probably been around for about 3 years now.
Yeah.
That's just based in Marrickville on Addison Road. Be my first time going there though tonight, so I'm excited for that as well. But yeah, no, they're good as well. Like, yeah, should definitely big them up. They're, another crew or, like platform that's giving people in Sydney, especially in the inner west, an opportunity to, yeah, play their mixes and like air their own music and stuff like that. So it's sick, yeah.
I definitely need to reach out to the Nomad guys because they started since I left Oz. So yeah, I'll definitely need to reach out to them.
Sure. There's another one as well, Orbital. Like it's pretty cool. I like that. Because like that's what I said. Just the more the merrier. Like this is what we need. We need those things to happen so we can just have a little bit of community, and then from there, we have a bit more of a culture and, just something that Sydney can actually be, oh, okay, shit, we got things going on. People are doing this, they're releasing music. Like, that's what it's about, no competition. Let's just work together and actually fucking do some sick shit. Like,
Bros, that's fucking amazing. I really like that, dude. Listen, I'm going to let you go, but before I let you go, I want to ask, is there any last bits of advice you can give me starting out on music production where I could barely get past an 8-bar loop? Any last pieces of advice?
Yeah, absolutely. Don't be afraid to really look. Actually, I think that this is like one of the best things I could tell you. Really, 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 really listen to a tune. Really, really listen to tunes. And like, say if you have one tune in mind and you want to make music like that, fucking drag that into Ableton or whatever production software you're using and fucking copy the tune. You don't have to release it, but just do it. So then you can get into the fucking habit of understanding the structure of it. Hey, look at this. I can see on the timeline, the intro goes for 16 bars. After that, it drops and this happens. And then after the next 32 bars, this new element comes in. And then once you really analyze it and have it there and you try to replicate it, the more you do that, eventually you won't need to have like those sorts of references to write tunes. You'll just understand and it becomes second nature. And you DJ, you understand phrasing and stuff like that. So like, after a few times of doing that, I reckon you'll just be able to understand, okay, this is the intro I want. This is what's happening. And, I've said this and it's a bit of an unpopular thing. People are like, what, copying or whatever, but it doesn't mean you have to release it or you don't have to do anything with it. It's just about practice, and it's a good way to finish tunes. I'm someone who has hard drives of tunes that are just not finished. You know what I mean? I've gotten halfway through and it's a vibe, and then I've just been like, nah, or I'm a pretty lazy person, so it's just like I don't end up finishing it.
Yeah.
But when I started to do things like that, I finished one tune and then I couldn't believe it. I was like, oh my God, I finished a tune. I hadn't finished a tune in so long, unless it was super easy. But like, this is something that I spent a lot of time on and I'm really happy with, and I finished it. And then you can prove to yourself, I've done this. This is capable. I can do it again. And then you do it again. And the more you do it, before you know it, you're just writing tunes, So I definitely recommend that. Also with that as well, reference also the tones and like what the things sound like. So then you can get a bit of an understanding of where your stuff should sit in the mix. And I think that would probably be my two biggest bits of advice. And then obviously I'm sure you're already all over it, but just tutorials. Yeah. And there's heaps of people, I think like it's easy to just go onto YouTube and watch some like kind of big name kind of tutorials of like people who are like working for companies or whatever. I find they're not very good most of the time. You want to find someone who might not even have a big following on YouTube, but they are on YouTube uploading shit every day because it's their fucking life. They love it. They sit on Ableton. They love finding new ways to do things. They're fucking nerds. And it's great. There's nothing wrong with that. I love that. You know what I mean? Like, it's the best thing in the world. It's like this sort of shit. I feel like you have to genuinely, really, really, really enjoy it and want to do it. And if you have that, it'll happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It will happen. You just gotta, So yeah, that's all I could say, I reckon.
That's fucking amazing. Slam, Lab 5, Louis, thank you so much, mate.
No worries, kids. Cheers, man. I appreciate it. Thanks for having us.
Righto, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first ever PS added off the back of a Hellmore Radio interview. Louis wanted to make sure that he's given all the proper shouts out. So, mate, who have you got for us?
All right, just want to big up Luba, Revive Pleasure, Bisoux, Akul, Riz, Knuckle, Mr. Sunroof, that's DJ Sunroof, Aju, Malido, Caitlin Metcalf, some crews, out to Ashley and Extra Spicy, Dunge Crew, Cosmic Boogie, Asylum, Garage Pressure, Big Ting, Post Pluto, list goes on. Who else? Oh, Spider Dog. I mean, that's completely different music to what I do, but like a really fucking great label as well. Meganesia, which is going to come out, I think, first release next year. So yeah, just wanted to shout out all the homies. Big love for everyone. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, all good, mate. Thank you so much once again. Make sure you're checking out Louis down in the description below. And mate, thanks again.
Thank you, bro. Cheers.
Hello, legend. Thank you so much for watching all the way till the end. If you'd like that, I got a ton more of these interviews being uploaded constantly on the YouTube page. And I do a weekly mix on Mixcloud every Saturday. So if you can subscribe, like, comment, that helps out loads with the algorithm. And if you follow me everywhere and you like the sound of what's going on here, let me know. I'm always open to hearing from people. This is very new. I'm figuring it out as I go along. But yeah, there's tons more. Check out the other interviews. Follow me. Listen. Jump onto the live stream. Say hi. I'm a friendly dude, and I really appreciate you watching. So thank you so much. You're a fucking legend. Love ya. Peace. Bye.